Well, the security pact, the nuclear sharing agreement, is normally regarded in international affairs circles as being part of a proliferation of access to weapons of mass destruction. But I think for the White House, this is seen as a way to level the playing field in the region and give a loyal ally that is also an adversary of Iran some protection and some peace of mind, and that is probably much needed.
Tina, we heard from Secretary of Defense Hegseth yesterday testifying before Congress here. I think a lot of people were trying to get a sense of how does the U.S. pursue its war with Iran with an eye on getting out of there. I mean, a lot of folks are unsure why we were there in the first place. Now we're trying to figure out how we get out of there in a positive scenario. Do you have any view of how this might play out?
I mean, this is a classic textbook escalation trap, right? And you know that I've been consistent about this from the beginning, whereby the war aims weren't clear. The strength of the adversary in the case of Iran was underestimated. With the new leverage that Iran has with the Strait of Hormuz, going back to the original objective, which was mainly around depriving Iran of nuclear weapons capability, has now moved further down the list. And Iran has gamed out that it is more patient and more willing to, suffer casualties than the United States. And so we're trapped. This is the most expensive war in some time, but also the most unpopular. This is the least popular war, I believe, in U.S. history.
Help us just, within the myriad of themes, Tina, you're expert at this with your decades at Citigroup as well. The Secretary of Defense is talking a $30-40 billion war so far. I would suggest no one on the planet believes that number. What is the Tina Fordham cost of the war?
I haven't made an estimate, but it certainly is going to cost more than it's going to deliver in terms of geopolitical or economic benefits. In normal circumstances, and I was talking to Bill Burns in London here yesterday, former director of the CIA, you'd be looking for off-ramps in diplomatic terms. Trump tells us that the talks aren't happening, that there aren't even discussions going on. And so what is most likely is episodic use of violence and expansion of the target set. One of the risks is, that the United States decides to make Iran uninhabitable without putting boots on the ground, which I think would be too high costs, unbearable costs for the United States to contemplate.
And Tina, you know this geography, folks. Here's an anecdote. I'm in London at Finsbury Square. It's where Bruckner wrote many of his symphonies at the Bloomberg headquarters there. It was just famed headquarters. And Tina, I was absolutely thunderstruck how the United Kingdom media followed a soldier who died in Afghanistan and followed the casket home the entire way. Now, I'm not saying we're doing that right now with the dead and injured of America, but our reaction to these soldiers and sailors in harm's way doesn't seem to be like other American wars. Has there been a shift in America to the agony of war?
Yeah, it's a very deep question, and as you shared that anecdote, I would just add for your viewers and listeners that not only is the casket followed here, but people line the streets. Strangers, people line the streets in a sign of respect, and it's a puzzle, really, isn't it? I mean, the U.S. casualties currently are around 18. My father was a war orphan in World War II. I know how these are all tragedies, and yet are we inured to the human costs of war, the economic costs of war? There is some pretty significant cognitive dissonance going on, but to bring it back to the markets, in a way, the markets are letting it happen by not reacting. if you like. We're still only at what, $90 a barrel.
Yeah. Do you have a price in your head, Tina? One final question. Do you have a Brent crude price in your head where things unravel for the West?
I don't think that the hostilities will continue at a sustained clip to get over 100. I think that's the kind of magic number. Having said that, the White House didn't expect this war to be going on for as long as it has, and for the regime in Iran to still be in place, and for the people of Iran not to have risen up. It's the law of unintended consequences, and you can
Right.
never plan for the perfect ideal scenario.